Golub, if you like to break your tongue, my name. This year we have started a digital humanities initiative at Linnéaus University, which is aimed to be cross-sector and cross-disciplinary, but it's the cross-sector part while we are here because we would like to hear feedback from the public and private sector in the region of what we can do in terms of innovation, education, and new services, including commercial services, and in collaboration across us. So in 2016, our major plan is to see what issues we could address, what kind of education programs we could offer, and what kind of future initiatives we could build on this. And we hope to move quite fast with that.
Just shortly about ourselves.
Do you have the mic turned on?
Yeah.
Short about ourselves, we, as it is written there, we come from Linneaus University, but from two different faculties and two different departments. Myself, I come from the Faculty of Engineering and the Department of Media Technology, and Cora comes from
Library and Information Science from Humanities.
And I also will suggest, as we have such a big audience, to make it more personalized, so we can adjust the content. We have 4 people, I think, to our crew, so you feel free to introduce yourself, but at least to know a little bit, and at least 24% of the audience I know myself. So if you can shortly tell a little bit your name and from which organization do you come from? På svenska det går bra också.
Ja, jag är icke arvsdotter. Jag är gammal pensionär nu som är bara
Okej.
min dotterson här som var lite intresserad av det här.
Okej.
Han får presentera sig så.
Jag kommer inte från någon organisation, jag bara får kolla lite.
Okej.
Jag var på besök och bara tänkte kolla in.
Okej. Tack.
Well, I come from media technology as well. Have some insight maybe, but curious.
I'm from the Glass Research Institute.
Okay, so good. So we get a better perspective of our 4 listeners.
Sure. So the main idea of this Digital Humanities Initiative is not to stick to the academic community, but to collaborate across with the companies, as well as a lot of cultural heritage institutions that we have in Kalmar, Växjö, and so on. But also to collaborate across the university. The initial proposal had 3 faculties on board. Now we have 4 that joined it later on, and we will look at the partners later on. But this is the idea, to collaborate, to really identify actual challenges in the way that some education programs have already been established at Media Technology Department. We would like to do similar informed education based on the actual needs. You may wonder what digital humanities are. Does somebody know? Does somebody have a definition?
Or even someone heard about the term before?
No, I must have say that when you sent the initial explanations about this, I had actually not heard about the term before.
Okay, so we reach our goal.
Yes.
Yes, well, there are very many definitions in the research community of what they are, and nobody can agree, because it is really extremely broad. But it is a new emerging discipline. Well, many will say it's not a discipline and never will be, that it's just a networking really at the crossings between information technology and humanities, where information technology allows humanities to look at old research problems in new ways, but also allows them to identify and pursue new research problems. Concretely, this can involve any number of the areas that range from quite technical ones like big data, data mining, text categorization, or more organizational ones when it comes to how to curate information resources, how to create data that are part of information resources, like using metadata. interoperability standards, so how to have, for example, libraries, archives, museums, including full digital content, merged together through a common interface and searchable by end users in a friendly way, of course. Visualization, GIS, like geographical information systems, multimedia games, digital storytelling, social network analysis, bibliometrics. As you see, it is indeed quite broad.
And you can ask yourself how these domains that are mostly of technical character, they are connected to humanities, because from that perspective it's more of applied researching using technological means to explore new directions within the field of humanities, and it's not technology driven. So in that sense, problems from the humanities are challenging people from the technology to think about new solutions or new ways of doing things. So in that sense, there is some innovation in the interplay. It's not only that people from humanity, they come to us, people from technology say we want a solution for that, but also it challenges us to think at new ways in order to solve problems.
And in order to start with identifying what we can do in the region, we have come up with initially 8 pilot projects, but now it is 10 in these 3 major groups of what digital humanities can be. One is digital storytelling and entertainment, the other is visualization and social network analysis, and the third one is related to data curation, and it's not restricted just to humanities. When it comes to outcomes, what we would like to achieve in 2016 is to primarily look at and experience knowledge exchange and compare and analyze the results of the 8 pilots to try to identify what is it that makes digital humanities at the Linneaus region, and what is it that is different than just the sum of the component parts, if there is such a thing. And of course, minor outputs of each individual pilots are here. Then we'll have a couple of reports documenting these efforts, like what are the needs of the region in terms of digital humanities, so in terms of what kind of education, for example, for working professionals you would need, or for more advanced students at the master level, with what kind of specializations. Is it more just the technological part that humanities students need, or even vice versa, or both? And we would like to, then end with a report defining the niche with a roadmap for future actions. The following expected outcome is knowledge dissemination, and here we already have planned a 1.5-day workshop for 7 to 8 November, where we have confirmed an invited speaker, Mike Mertens, who is the CEO of the largest network of digital humanities researchers in Europe, involving 18 countries and several hundred researchers. And we have approached the organizers of the second Nordic Conference on Digital Humanities scheduled for 2017 with an idea to organize a pre-conference event in Växjö and Kalmar. And finally, we are continuously looking for partners, and at Digitala veckan we are particularly looking forward to meeting the private sector as well, in order to be able to build our ideas on actual concrete needs.
What kind of company would be a good fit for being a partner in this project?
For instance, Linnéuniversitetet, for instance, they have plenty of historical data about mappings, property, could be one example. Companies providing service to digital services to libraries, companies that they do archiving system for museums, and there are many of those. Unfortunately, I don't know any of those in this region, but this kind of enterprises.
I think that's perhaps a discussion we should continue
Yeah,
offline.
But and we come back in the final slides.
just to get more concrete examples of we can do, these are just a few of the 10 projects that we are conducting in this year. One is digital storytelling together with Smålands Musikarkiv and the Fria Ordets Hus with a colleague from Media Technology Department. So these are mostly public institutions, but still from non-academic sector, which is also important. Then we've got Ringsberg in Växjö and archaeological site Sandbyborg and their digital lives, together with the Kalmar County Museum, Växjö Kommun, Cultural Sciences Department and Media Technology Department, which we will see an example of on the next slide. Another example is related to media, so organizing social and traditional media messages of hate and stigmatization in Tunisia, together with Tunisian Broadcasting Authority. We've got together the Växjö Kommun a project that looks into helping them find use cases for their open data, because according to regulations, national regulations, every commune needs to make their data open, of course, the ones they can, considering privacy protection and so forth. But they have so many, they are not sure where to start. So we will work together on identifying these cases. And this is a link of our working space where these projects are defined in more details.
And just to define what is the idea of a project, just to not get the wrong impression, these are the level of pilots, because time-wise we're talking about now the spring until the end of this year with limited resources, but it's just at the exploration phase. But so you don't get. And here is one example that in which we're exploring how novel or relative novel new ways of interactive visualization using mobile devices. I guess some of you have heard about the concept of augmented reality, that is to be able to visualize using a mobile device content on the top of the real view that you have through the camera. Here what we are exploring is to visualize, to use techniques to improve public engagement. This is about this area of Växjö Ringsberg, in which there is an ongoing, they will start in a couple of weeks a survey whether to transform a place that is a public park into something different. And they want, we want, what we are doing there is just to allow people to vote through Twitter, even being there, and at the same time to see in real time the outcomes of the votes. So if you come there, you will see different markers, and if you download this application, and if you vote, I mean, you can see already the visualization of the streaming data in real time in a different way. So this is one simple example. Not so simple, but I guess, I hope you understand the concept that the idea is to make sense of a lot of data created by users, by people, that gets lost if it's not presented in ways that people make sense. And the idea is to use these techniques to engage the public in another ways and to inform decision making. There is another project that has been mentioned, that is social network analysis from this authority, broadcasting authority in Tunisia. This is also something that is, people, they post plenty of content both in Facebook or Twitter, but to try to make sense of thousands of posts and to do context analysis and to visualize relations. And in this particular project is to understand where the actors that promote hate or these kind of things is not such a trivial task as it sounds, because it demands knowledge from the people in the media and journalism, like to our colleagues, but also demands in information visualization and computation, like where we are. So this kind of, I hope these kind of small examples, and given the limited time, it gets a perspective about what we mean with digital humanities.
The long-term vision of this initiative is to eventually create a leading education development and research regional center but specifically in co-creation with the public and private sector, again to address existing and future societal challenges. And the values that we are employing here are to reuse the expertise that we already have in companies, in our different faculties, in different departments, and create new constellations based on which we would then gain new expertise, be able to create new education programs, provide new commercial services that are already planned in one of our pilots, all together resulting in a return on investment for the whole region. So yes, university, but also for the whole region. And we would also like to reaffirm the value of the humanities, in particular among the wider society and academic practices in general.
And one of the things that is coming in the coming slides is also to try to identify the challenge in which many jobs have been in the future, have been changed now, and they're going to change in the coming years, about redefining some tasks that have not been able to be done before, and to retrain some of the people that are already on board, and to think about which are the skills that future employees may need in some of the coming challenges. Like less than 10 years ago, no one will think about having a job at a company that is called social media information officer. And I'm not talking about 15 years or 20, I'm talking about less than 10 years ago when Facebook was launched. So this is a kind of similar analogy you can think about.
Mm-hmm. Initially, we have had 30 partners on board, and now we actually have over 60 partners from around Europe, the US, including more partners from the university and from other sectors in Sweden. Actually, we have trade unions on board now as well, who focus on humanities, for example. And the people that joined afterwards are just praising the value of this initiative being exactly cross-sector, because that's not very common in the academic world, especially in humanities. And this is their interest. Of these, they were people representing 7 disciplines from 3 faculties out of the total of 5, but now we have 4. One center focusing on media, the Special Research Center, the University Library, and 11 institutional partners from Blekinge, Kalmar and Kronoberg. And these included AV Media, Biblioteksutveckling, the Friadets Hus, Kalmar County Museum, Kulturparken Småland, Smålands Musikarkiv, Tunisia Broadcasting Authority, Växjö City Library and Växjö Kommun.
Just to answer your question still, the business partners are more than open to join. These are mostly public sector. Or
Yeah, that was actually what I was going to ask, because I mean, there's a lot of companies with the same kind of needs also in the private sector, also in this region, with in various different.
And again, but this is a recent started activity. We had our first kickoff in March, so there is place for improvements.
Absolutely. We've also got 6 prominent academic supporting partners from programs that have already been established, or related programs to help us stir the ship. And now we have come to the point where we are quiet and you are talking. And this is because we would very much like to learn about what is it that we can really do, and plan for it, and simply do it later on.
So, you know, one of the reasons I ask from which organization you come from is whether to welcome. If you can briefly present yourself. Yes.
Well, I'm the next speaker.
Okay, good. So, okay, good. So, but I mean, the idea was is here just to get some input from you to see, okay, depending on the organization you work for, do you see any of these skills or competence is required, or are other missings? Like again, this what is called today data scientist. I mean, we start to deal with a lot of data. You need people to get trained about to make sense of those things. Is something that the organization is facing with such a problem, or how to structure information, these kind of things.
And I guess unfortunately we don't really have the audience for this discussion today. And I think also that we will continue this at another site together with IEC. We will find these type of companies for you and do more direct
target marketing.
Target marketing, yes. So I think we have to go to the next slide because you don't have.
Okay. Well, the following one was about innovative solutions that are missing and we could address together, as well as concrete services that we could establish. And if you'd like us to go to the next slide, it's the slide where we tell you how to contact us. Apart from if you don't like using QR codes, then this is the other way.
Right, so at least I thought this was interesting, and
good, 20% of the audience.
That's good. We've actually heard a number of different presentations today touching on this subject in different ways, and it's actually a shame that these guys didn't stick around for this presentation, because to some extent it ties together the topics and the discussions that we've had. But that's not the case, and I would like to thank you for taking your time and wanted to participate in this. I'm sorry that we didn't gather a large crowd, and that's not the fault of anyone in this audience. So thank you, Cora, and thank you, Marcelo, and let's hope to meet soon again with a larger audience.
Okay, thank you.
Let's do that. Thank you very much.